Let's start with the Origami Valkyrie guide. First, we'll cover some general information. We'll use the global server as an example for translation. In summary, casting skills increases the piercing rate and is stackable. It applies a debuff to enemies that reduces resistance to lightning damage, and this debuff is stackable. It restores 3 energy points every second. When it reaches 100 points, it can enter the Valkyrie state, increasing attack speed and movement speed, and summoning a pillar of light every 1.5 seconds. That's the general summary of this section. Let's move on to the Sephiras. The first Sephiras says increases attack when equipped by Valkyrie, and in that transformation, it reduces the damage she takes and increases her own damage. The second Sephiras says increases lightning damage. When equipped by Valkyrie, it increases the damage of skill 3, and the final hit of the skill has a 30% chance of recovering 50 energy points, as you'll see in this example. As you saw, I recovered 50 energy points in the final hit of skill 3. The third Sephiras says, increased critical damage and piercing damage. When equipped, Valkyrie has a 10% chance of summoning a pillar of light, and it has a 0.5 second cooldown to activate said effect. If you saw the previous example, when skill 3 was hitting, it also summoned said pillars of light. This is the effect when you have the full set of Valkyrie Sephiras. Skill damage is increased. In the Valkyrie state, the damage dealt increases, and the effect stacks until the end of the state. Now, my personal stat recommendation for 6-star Sephiras is 6 critical rate, 4 piercing rate, 3 hit rate, 2 lightning damage or damage versus spirit. If the Sephiras is 5-star, 6 critical rate, 3 piercing rate, 2 hit rate, 1 lightning damage or damage versus spirit. I recommend the Sephiras if you couldn't get the Valkyrie set. I recommend these Sephiras if you don't have any of the ones I showed before. Now we move on to the skill tree. My personal recommendation for the double sass rank is this. Since we're only going to be spamming skill 1 and skill 2, both in normal and Valkyrie states, it's a good idea to only level up those skills. This is my personal recommendation for the triple S rank. This is my personal recommendation for the EX or FX rank without the angel break. This is my personal recommendation for the EX or FX rank with the angel break. Now we move on to the passives. This would be my personal recommendation. The first passive says, every time you cast the Valkyrie debuff, it increases your own critical rate and piercing rate. It stacks and lasts for 8 seconds. The second passive says, every time you cast in skills, it increases critical damage and piercing damage. It stacks and lasts for 8 seconds. The third passive says, ignores defense enemy, and when Valkyrie takes damage, it increases her own damage. It stacks and lasts for 5 seconds. The fourth passive says, increases lightning damage. Attacking an enemy reduces their resistance to lightning damage. It stacks and the debuff lasts for 10 seconds. This passive is also there, but I don't highly recommend it, since it reduces your health by 25%, but increases your attack by 50%. I only recommend it if you one-shot bosses, or if you have Valkyrie Angel at 2 or 3 stars. Now we move on to pets. This would be your best pet, the pangolin, since it increases attack and dealing lightning damage, increases critical damage and piercing damage. If you don't have this pet, give him any pet that provides a high damage boost, like these pets. Now we move on to the Keepsakes. This is the best set for Valkyrie. In the first set, we only take advantage of the increased critical damage and piercing damage. The second is exclusive to Valkyrie, which says it increases lightning damage and increases critical rate. The third set says it increases critical rate. If you don't have these sets, I recommend these. If you don't have any sets, you can use any set that provides a high attack stat to take advantage of those keepsakes. Now we move on to the gems. This is the least important, but this would be my recommendation for the basic attack gem. In the first stat, attack speed or hit rate. In the second stat, ignore defense or life steal. In the third stat, attack boost for said basic attacks. As I said, you can save up to make this gem since the basic attack is rarely used. This would be my recommendation for the gem for skill 1. In the first stat, hit rate or critical rate. In the second stat, life steal. In the third stat, attack boost or ignore defense. This would be a good gem for skill 1. This would be my recommendation for the gem for skill 2. It's almost the same as skill 1. In the first stat, hit rate or critical rate. In the second stat, ignore defense or life steal. In the third stat, attack boost. This would be a good gem for skill 2. This would be my recommendation for the skill gem for skill 3. In the first stat, hit rate or critical rate. In the second stat, ignore defense or skill cooldown. In the third stat, attack boost. This would be a good gem for skill 3. If you ask about the formation of treasures, it is the same as in Mio Takamiya's last guide. Now we will see how to use Valkyrie for that. We will use the double S rank skill tree. A recommendation: be careful if an enemy stuns you and at the same time you exit the Valkyrie state, since it is bugged and you will not be able to move. Another recommendation: be careful when using Valkyrie's skills, since she cannot cancel animations, as you will see in this example. Well, that would be all in the Valkyrie guide. I hope I have resolved your doubts and helped. I have nothing more to say. See you until the next character guide.